Hello again. Welcome to Frequency Bone Summer Music Connection 3, Video 8, Instruction 5. Personal Art, Keeping It Going. Last video we were touching on a bit in the beginning how to integrate some of our work in cultivating our personal art and putting it more into some of our other daily music making, our practice sessions, our concerts, auditions, and I want to gradually make that more practical, because the whole personal art can seem abstract even though it's not. Your life is personal to you. How abstract is it if someone takes a pin and pokes you in the shoulder? I would say that's personal at the physical level. You definitely feel it. You know it's you. Okay? So finding out what is this whole area of personal can get very personal. And then we have to move beyond that so it doesn't get on the wrong end of the bar or spectrum of too personally caught up in ourselves. That's the balance. It's always balance. Always, throughout one's life, no matter what one's doing, there's a balance. You put a little, it's like going to the deli, right? And they say, how much do you want? And I say, well, I'll take a half pound of the lentils. So they take the lentils and they put it in a little plastic container, right? And then they start adding it on, put it on the scale, start adding, and it goes a little bit over. So they take a little bit out, and it goes a little bit under. Then they take a little bit more, and they put it on so it gets to be exactly a half, or something like that. You've seen it many times. But life is like that. There's a letting go, there's an addition, all sorts of different kinds of balances that go on. And people who are taking their instruments and their music seriously certainly know that. Isn't that one of the big things conductors talk about? Balance. So, one of the ways we can start putting some of what we're learning about ourselves and opening up the territory of our sounds and articulations, because I hope you're playing with your articulations too as much as you're playing with sound. It seems to me that the style today, in terms of articulation, is very, very rounded, like a really nice padded timpani stick. The head of it. Boom, 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 doom, 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 doom. And with that articulation, there's a very, very long note, no matter what the passage. I recommend trying some other things. Violinists certainly play with a variety, at least some ones I've heard, play with a lot of variety of articulation and tonal colors. That would be considered kind of goofy or funny, maybe for a brass instrument, but they don't have to be. Especially when we're moving into the territory of personal art. Because personal art is you, the artist, taking your sound and painting it on the canvas of your expression. So, are all pictures the same? No. There's a lot of color variation, there's a lot of texture variation, there's all sorts of light and shadow contrast, different kinds of things that jump out at you, certain things that are in the background. So, how do we take all that we're playing with our sounds and articulations, and start putting it into certain things? Well, let's take the area of an etude, and I'll play an easy one. I work a lot out of Rhythmical Articulations by Pasquale Bona, and an exercise that my teacher Stephen Zellner gave me. Number 45. It's very simple. It was just to remain simple, easy, thinking about clear articulation and free production of sound. And let's say I was in a rut with it, and I've spoken on this before. If you're in a rut, why don't you try to play something many different ways so you can break the mold of what's causing a chain reaction in you to robotically get caught in something. You have to break the pattern that you've set up by throwing in something different. And so since we've all been working on our personal art and dropping in our inhibitions and letting certain things go and finding different things, this can help us get out of ruts. Isn't that terrific? So, I'll play a little Bona 45 for you. So, nice round attack, long notes. I try to put a little bit of space in between the quarter notes and half notes, but basically it's a very long bow style. Now, what if I just wanted to play with that a little bit? Take some of the colors I was working with. Instead of trying to be nice and even, like I'm maybe going to some religious service of some kind, okay, where you're wearing your nice suit, and at least they used to when years ago when I used to go to synagogue. You know, there wasn't a lot of room for a lot of fancy dressing. And you'd go and you'd look, you know, pretty polished from your shoes to your coat and shirt and tie. But let's say we were going to kind of go in with some other clothes on. Now, by doing that, I can say, wow, I've never done that to that piece before. And what about this? I'm not having any disrespect for the piece. I'm trying to play with different aspects of my sound using this piece. And then eventually, I will build a whole toolkit of different colors, different shadings that I will find that will be useful in expressing a certain feeling in pieces. Now, this kind of piece, I have to ask myself, how much have I ever played it short? It's very interesting doing it different. Now can I take some of those elements and kind of fuse them together and see what happens? Now, I don't know if you could hear any difference, but I certainly felt a difference in doing that. Now that's a simple example. You can do it with all sorts of things, okay? You can use it in your excerpts to break out of certain ruts and touchy spots by doing them differently, by realizing, wait a minute, how do you actually personally feel about it? What if I wanted to go... because I kind of felt wild and invigorated like that. I think it's worth to take a try and do it that way. Because you might discover something about you in that process that can be used, actually, to enhance the piece.